so where the fans can come right next to the practice green, right next to the driving range, and if the players want to sign, they'll sign for you. If not, maybe they'll take a selfie with you. But it's like spring training when I played. The first days of the week when these guys just come off another tour event, that's the time to get these guys and kind of get them when it's a lot looser.
And they're awesome around here, man. I was trying to explain that to people, telling me about the moment you were just explaining to our audience about the Bryson DeChambeau and the kid in the wheelchair and him taking the time. I wasn't surprised. I've seen it out here at Travelers. And then Rory, poor Rory. Rory had himself a weekend, didn't he?
Yep.
Up, down, up again, could have won, and then let it slip away. But this guy's the same. I mean, as much as these guys or Live versus PGA may seem like they're rivals, they're actually friends. They're actually kind of on the same mission in life. And I can tell you first and foremost, they are so much about the fans, about the fans. And you're right, Dibs. Like today, tomorrow, Wednesday for sure are the best times to buy those big Traveler golf balls, get everybody here to sign.
Yes, the giant balls seem to be
maybe
all the rage.
Maybe a little white flag, too. The kids always have those flags out here, Travelers
Get you a
flag.
big flappy hat or whatever, and they can sign that.
But even Thursday through Sunday, these guys are so gracious. Like, hopefully we get some of the guys that we usually get – let's just say it. We get the lesser-known guys that come here to Travelers. But I'll tell you what, we're somewhat of gatekeepers if you want to be good on tour.
Yep.
Davis Riley knows us. He's here today already working on his game. That was who we interviewed last year, and all of a sudden he's winning championships. But the pros, the stars, they're out here gracious with their time and effort and energy as well.
Oh, yeah, Ches Reavie going back to where
Ches. Remember when we first met Ches?
Bubba Watson, I remember interviewing him
yeah.
like 10 years ago. Then, like, right after he won this event, then he'd go on the next year and win the Masters and then win it again and then, and win this again. And, like, Keegan Bradley, we've interviewed him. And then, he missed the cut last year. He goes back to Vermont. He's, playing putt-putt with his kids. And he comes out here.
Missed the U.S. Open cut,
yeah.
right.
And he comes here and he wins the Travelers. Listen, and we'll talk to Nathan Group throughout the week and we'll describe the golf course. But this is a golf course that rewards great shots. It also penalizes you for bad ones. So a lot of these guys love it. They love to be challenged, and when they're hot, they can score a -20. And so that's the beauty of TPC River Highlands. And being here the last 10 years, this might be the hottest week for them. So that's going to play into this because in clement weather, whether it's rain or scorching temperatures, all of that will come into play with these guys that have to walk all 18. They're out there 4 or 5 hours. There's nothing easy about that. So, today and I think through Wednesday they can wear shorts. I don't think do they have to wear long pants?
I don't know
those hot
if we
days.
released the rules yet or not.
Yeah,
I don't know what
because
it is.
that's insanity.
It's going to be up to 95 one of these days.
If you make these guys wear long pants, man, there might be a couple that have to drop.
Well, there's no place for them to hide. They're going to be out on the course, and they're going to have to deal with it. However, as we discussed with Andy Bissett and Nathan Grube, there's plenty of places for patrons to get in shade, to get free waters,
Absolutely.
to get free suntan lotion, and there's 4 huge venues that are air conditioned that are absolutely free as well. You don't have to be VIP. You don't need a wristband. You can just walk right in those. So
and if you feel lightheaded or anything, the onset of
stop drinking.
Well, no, not only that, but go find one of the aid stations. They're all over the golf course. They're here to help. They're the experts. If they have to throw an IV in you or get a lot of liquids down in you quick, cool you off. All of that stuff. They're the experts. Don't be out on the golf course trying to be a tough guy or tough woman and go like, I think I could toughen this out. There's no reason for that. It's been set up. This is what Andy Bissett and Nathan Grube pride themselves on. It's one of the greatest fan-friendly events. It's one of the best, caddy and golfer events on tour. And that's why this is one of the best events that's running out there on tour that's not a major.
Right.
And now they can give out the money. So I just think that everything that they do here is to accommodate the people who show up during the week.
So true. It's going to be an awesome event. It starts really tomorrow when everyone gets here and the crowd really starts moving. Play, of course, Thursday through Sunday, but the Rob Dibble Show will be out here every single day of the week trying to bring you as much information and much action from the Travelers Championship. But we got another job to do. We got to do a sports show, my man, and I'm hoping I'm hoping this week is filled with a lot of Boston Celtics jerseys walking the grounds of TPC River Highlands. But I'm wondering if they were to lose tonight and go back to Dallas for a Game 6, how much that spoils the taste of the Celtic fan rocking those jerseys out here. Game 4 was brutal, brother. That was the most brutal watch I could think of in an NBA Finals.
I think as it quickly was unfolding that they weren't in the game, they lost interest, and they started thinking about Game 5 and going home. I would never say that somebody quit in a game, but you also save your energy. And
it's a series.
It's a series. They made it a series by winning that game.
Right.
But listen, the odds are still in your favor.
Big
Dallas still has to win the next 3 games. You just need to take one of them, and you've been playing great. You've been playing great. So, whether or not Porzingis is going to, be involved, that's a whole nother equation. But listen, it shouldn't matter whether or not he plays or he doesn't play. You still have to go out there to earn a championship. No one's going to hand it to you. You're playing against some of the best players on the planet still with the Dallas Mavericks, and they're very well coached. And for them not to quit, I give them the credit that they deserve. A lot of teams would be like, oh, the odds are against us. And, in today's kind of load management game, a lot of these guys would be, okay, next year we'll make a run at this thing. But they didn't. They went out there and they scorched the Celtics. It was embarrassing.
I was wondering what kind of attitude they would have had or have when they were coming out.
You never know.
3-0. I'm still wondering that today because I don't want them to be like, okay, we avoided the sweep and now we can, we know we're not going to do it, so what's the point of trying? I hope they come out with the same fire that they had on defense in Game 4 tonight than they did on Game 1 through 3. I thought their defense was totally stepped up. Lively is a monster off the bench for them, especially when Porzingis isn't going to be in and Horford's going to try to check him. Plus, it really does come down to knocking down shots. I thought Dante Exum, Down Jones Jr., P.J. Washington, some of those guys hit some outside shots in Game 4 that weren't dropping for him in Game 1 through 3, and then vice versa for the Celtics. Nobody felt like Drew Holiday had a lid on the bucket. Derek White wasn't hitting those jumpers that he could. Even Tatum went cold in the second quarter. Didn't even play the fourth quarter, like you said.
No, that's when you rest them.
On the wall. But, it comes down to shooting, of course. I just hope the Dallas Mavericks come out with the same intensity and attitude they had on defense that I thought really turned the tide for them for the series if they want to keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is a huge game, just like the NHL Stanley Cup over the weekend. You've got all these
look
series.
At that one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you never know what from one game to another, how invested a team is, how locked in they are. You don't know what kind of injuries they have. So I just think that here in the NBA, it's really interesting that, everybody thought they were done. Listen, they didn't get this far by thinking they've been out of any series.
Right.
They've destroyed some really good teams. And when you start talking about whether the Timberwolves could have been a better team or Denver could have been a better team, that's some motivational stuff that's going around your locker room. They still don't believe in us kind of stuff.
True.
And that's the kind of stuff, if you're a good coach and good teammates, that's the kind of stuff that you have like a players-only meeting to rev each other up.
All right, I know you wanted to get into this. I didn't even want to put it on the rundown this morning because I knew you were going to get to it eventually. And it's a sad thing for people around here, which is weird because he doesn't even play here anymore. Mookie Betts is going to be out for the season?
Well, he's got a blown-out hamate bone in his hand. He's got a broken hand. I mean, I don't know if they do surgery. It could get him back in 3-4 months. But, I mean, right now the initial diagnosis is that he's out indefinitely. And, The problem is that people think the game is not a contact sport. And, you've got them trying to get you to avoid contact at second base, avoid contact at home at all costs. Guys are still throwing the ball 100 miles an hour. It's a rock-hard sphere. It's 6 ounces. And when a guy's throwing at 98 and you can't get out of the way and it hits flush into your hand, it's going to smash. And whether it's your forearm, whether it's your hand, it could be your ankle, could be a foul off your foot.
Doesn't matter how tough or strong you are.
That's right. And even the equipment, all the pads that we talk about all the time.
Right.
They make pads. They make batting gloves now with the pads all over. Sometimes it just has to catch you right. and it got Mookie, and he is not the biggest guy in the world either. I think he's about 6 foot 180.
I think you're giving him some
I am.
inches.
I'm giving him some inches and some pounds. But you hate to see those injuries. I think the more substantial injury, because he will recover from that, is we have to keep our eyes on Yamamoto.
Ooh, rotator cuff.
Rotator cuff. It's
good.
the back. It's the top of his tricep. There's so many connection points in there. There's an infraspinatus tendon. There's the labrum. And until they get an MRI and they can actually check out where there could be some fraying or some tearing, just remember, when they say strain, that's still a tear. And, in particular, the rotator cuff in the back was one of the surgeries that I had. This guy looks like he's throwing a javelin. He's got different mechanics.
You've been talking about that since he arrived on shore.
And besides that, I did want to, get into this a little bit, and we can get into it a little bit later on. When you are getting the Asian players, they play a 142-game schedule. Yep. We play 162. They pitch once a week like college pitchers in our country. Yep. And so over here, we're going with once every 5 days, and we push the guys a little bit harder. And I don't care if it's 100 pitches or 120. Not getting the rest that you were over there is an adjustment period. So you're adjusting to a lot of different things, the tempo of the game, things like that, the pitch clock, all kinds of different things. And so for me, you put all of those things together. The one thing you can't control is adrenaline. You're playing in front of a packed house at Dodger Stadium. You're going around to these other places. The Dodgers draw really well. This guy, I don't know him personally, but I know myself. Any game I ever pitched in spring training or a major league game, there's a level of adrenaline it's hard to describe. And so all of those things, this guy could have thrown one pitch differently than normal, and that's all it takes. So again, whether possibly a tendon first, then they took it back and said it was a high triceps injury.
I didn't see this.
Yeah, all right. Until we actually know what's going on, I mean, I feel he's out indefinitely, and that to me, I mean, that's huge. I mean, I was listening to today, MLB, even Cowherd, and they were talking about, well, we don't need this guy till September. Yeah, you're already thinking you're going to get him back in September. You don't ever know when you're going to get a guy back. We're still waiting for some of these other guys like Garrett Cole to come back.
Right.
And you don't even know how deep these guys can go into games or how good they're going to be. Rendon, it took him 2 years to get over his injury. So depending on what these particular problems are, and here's the thing with the Dodgers, they've had a plethora of pitching injuries in the last 2 seasons. It's even 3 seasons. So many of their starting pitchers have been injured, and so this was probably the most devastating because you've only seen him for 3 months, and you paid him $350 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the
devastating
when you have
part.
that kind of investment in a human being that you can't control injuries with, especially pitchers. Listen, his teammate Shohei Ohtani, we know how great he's been this year. 2 Tommy John surgeries in 5 years in this country. Again, the adjustment from the Asian season, the Asian way of playing baseball to the way we play baseball here, kind of the world game, a lot different pressure on their bodies.
I've had a different look on the Boston Celtics with all these injuries. Man, if you go to Major League Baseball tab on either MLB.com or any kind of sports website, it's just really an injury blotter. It's not really the news of the day. It's just who's injured now in Major League Baseball. And thinking about the Boston Celtics and, ripping their path of an NBA Finals, you've got the Heat without Jimmy Butler. You've got the Cavs without Donovan Mitchell. You got the Pacers without Halliburton. You have got injuries to Giannis Antetokounmpo and Joel Embiid that never even got to sniff a series with the Boston Celtics. That's kind of a notch in the Boston Celtics cap for winning the battle of attrition. Listen, they don't have Porzingis now. They've had him for 2 games in the finals. They've been able to
Drew Holiday and Derek White, man.
You got to step up.
Yep.
That's why you have other people as reserves on the bench. If not, what are we paying them for? So I really have a different take or a different perspective looking at the Boston Celtics path to an NBA Finals, or you can say, man, they're the only ones that don't drop like flies like the rest of the league.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll start looking at some of the different things from the weekend as well. We still haven't even gotten into Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, by the way.
Umpire, by the way.
How about the 9 stolen bases by the Red Sox? They took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees over the weekend. So we've got a lot of people talking about, pitch times to home and catchers throwing to second. So there's a lot of things to unpack from the weekend. It's the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive. We are live from the Travelers Championship at TPC River Highlands, and you are listening to us on Fox Sports Radio.